So you're probably seeing a lot of white people coming out and complaining about the cost of living, coming out and complaining about everything that went wrong with the decisions that they made. That I mean, they chose Mr. Donald Trump thinking that it was going to be changing a lot of things that in reality didn't change. Well, I think you think that it ends there. But what if I told you that this doesn't end here? Rural white states in America, they're in a big shock, as majority of them are complaining how they dedicated their lives, thinking that things are gonna be better. They're not getting all these resources that they thought that they will get. And this makes them become so much disillusioned. Sorry, brothers and sisters. I want us to watch this video because we are going to see a group of people that decided to vote for racism, that decided to choose racism. But this is how racism pays them back because we are seeing this backfiring them in their face. Brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my 2 cents in regards to this. If you're me for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. But before that, let's get into it. I'll be back.
So, I look like absolute hell. But I wanted to come on here and say that my heart is literally breaking for our country and for the people in it. I just had to walk out of a restaurant because she stood there trying to tell me that everything happening was the fault of Joe Biden. This person, and I'm not going to name him, this person who talks about God all the time, goes to church regularly, and voted for that thing. And that is what he is. He's not human. And if we want to get biblical, then maybe we are in the end times, because I do believe he and Musk are the Antichrist. They tried to raid an elementary school today in Chicago. ICE. They tried to raid it. Thankfully, the school wouldn't let them come in. But they tried. Those are children. Those are babies. They also have taken down the government website for reproductive rights. That's great. Let's just go ahead and kill women. What does it matter? Apparently, we don't matter. My children are living in a world with fewer rights than I had. This cannot stand the way it is. We have got to stand together in unity and not back someone who would demand an apology and belittle a bishop for saying nothing more than please have mercy on those who need it. I am so upset. What am I supposed to do with my friends and my family who voted for him? Who have put us in this position? They're saying they're going to defund the Department of Education. Well, there goes my job. I'm just a lowly little art teacher. You think they're going to keep art around when it goes back to the states? I work in a little high-poverty rural school. My job won't be there for me. It won't, because that'll be one of the first things they cut when they lose their funding. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a terrible video and I'm ugly crying on it. But we have got to make some changes, because this is not my America, and he is not my president. This world can't stand the way it is. It can't. So all us little people, we have got to figure it out. We've got to get together, and we've got to stand up for what's right. Because it's coming. It's coming. War is coming. And like I said, I can't talk to my best friend right now because I know that's how she voted. She's been my best friend since 1989. And I can't talk to her. And I got up today and I walked right out of that restaurant. Because she could sit there and tell me that this is the work of Democrats. This is not about that. This is about doing what is decent, about doing what is compassionate, about having some humanity in this world. Do we not think that this world is hard enough? It is hard to live, and it just got exponentially worse. So if anybody's got any advice on how to deal with our MAGA friends and family, I don't know that we should just cut ties. I don't know. We're supposed to be kind and compassionate and caring, and that doesn't seem like a very kind and caring thing to do. But I'm at a loss. I won't set foot in the church. I won't. Because most of them sitting there are hypocrites. You're going to sit there and listen to scripture and then be behind kicking all these immigrants out. And, we learned about Ellis Island in elementary school. Jesus said for us to love everyone. This is not how Jesus would act. So if you're calling yourself a Christian, you need to really sit there and evaluate what you're doing in this world. Because this ain't it. This ain't it.
I know we're not Kerrville. I know we're not San Angelo or San Antonio. But hell, we're human beings. Help us.
Now, we all feel compassion for what's happening in Texas, right? We all feel that. However, isn't this you?
Step up on your video this morning.
You just couldn't help out the few thousand
I'm gonna have to do that.
people.
We're not gonna help out anybody. Y'all been living on food stamps, EBT, Section 8 housing your entire freaking life.
That's all.
And isn't this also you? And what about this?
What you gonna do, crybaby?
With alligator
I want alligator, Alcatraz
I honestly
if
can't
I
say on
want
this
to.
app what I
And
would
what
give
you
you.
gonna do?
You see, this is just the hypocrisy of MAGA Trump supporters. You want compassion for yourselves, but you have no compassion for anybody else. And I've seen quite a few right-wing MAGA supporters saying, how dare you make this issue political? How dare you say that this is what you voted for? I've seen tons of them. So let's just clear something up. First of all, we're not saying that we are happy that this happened to anybody. We're not saying that, but we are pointing out the fact that you did vote for this, that you supported it. You just didn't support it when it happens directly to you. I would like to think that maybe now you'll wake up and have compassion for others and realize that the person you voted for doesn't care about you. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say there is no growth within your party. All my love.
Explain something to me. I live in Alabama, and
another FIFO
usually averages between $200-$250 a month. Can someone please explain to me how my utility bill went from $250 a month to $696 this month? Could someone just please explain that to me? I know.
Let me show you why. Ready? This guy. That's why your electric bill went up. Trump. No more subsidies for Alabama. No more subsidies for red states. Woo! MAGA. Woo! Go Trump. Go broke.
Accounts have been debited. They're just taking money out of people's accounts as part of their utility bill. Oh, Trump cut off all that money. That's been helping pay your utility bill, Alabama. And so now we're going to start taking all that money back. And by the way, you owe. You owe. You have to pay money. More than you have been, not only for your additional bills, you have to pay back what Trump is no longer allowing to be spent. And that, Alabama utility customers finding, hundreds of dollars taken out of their account in the middle of winter, right? I mean, I guess it's a small story in the grand scheme of things, given what's going on in our whole country. But for people in Alabama, that's a real and immediate and hugely expensive thing that is very obviously Donald Trump's fault.
I just got my utility bill. I'm so scared. Those of you living in North Alabama know this fear. Apparently TVA is charging host utilities more for whatever, and then it's 100 million degrees of hell. I'm so scared. It goes nothing. $753. And guys, it's all electric. For those of you who don't know, Huntsville Utilities, everything's on here. Water, sprinkler, gas, electric, sewer, trash, taxes, whatever, okay? Nothing else is extraordinary except electric at $606. We have changed nothing from last month, nor from last summer. That we do when it's hot.
Why are you voting on Medicaid? Why are you voting on Medicaid? Can you tell us why? Medicaid saves lives. This baby is on Medicaid. This baby's life is saved because of Medicaid, and you are voting to reduce Medicaid. Look, you can run away from us now, but you can't run away from a bad vote. The people will remember.
First off, Medicaid is AID, so there's that. Number two, stop falling for stupid shit. They already proved that the people on Medicaid that are going to lose Medicaid are not committing fraud. My 70-year-old grandmother is not committing fraud. The disabled veteran is not committing fraud. The 8-year-old that needs Medicaid because his mom doesn't make enough money working 3 jobs is not committing fraud. And here's a further point. Every single person on the planet deserves health care. Period. 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 There is no more. Full stop. Take your opinion. You know what to do with it. People deserve health care. Period. I am happy to pay. If it means that people don't have to suffer and not have health care they need, I am happy to pay. Raise my taxes. Do it. I would much rather my taxes go towards Medicaid or some form of social health care so that everyone is taken care of. Food assistance so that everyone has food to eat. Housing assistance so that people have a place to live, than spending $900 billion on fucking airplanes we don't goddamn need to invade countries we got no business in. Raising the wages for Congress when they don't do the right thing anyway. Tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. That is not where I want my taxes to go. I will gladly pay more in taxes if it means everyone in this country has medical has the medical assistance, has the medical care they need, food to eat, and a place to live. I will gladly pay more in taxes. Gladly. And if you don't have that attitude, I can't say it. I'm on TikTok. I can't say it. But you know. You know. You know. Get out.
This is Jose. He works as a janitor. Emily works here as a self-advocate specialist. Xavier works at a movie theater. Athena works at a grocery store. Colleen is a fitting room attendant. Matt runs a coffee cart. And Andrew works at a lumberyard. A lot of those jobs are made possible by supported employment programs. This is considered a home and community-based service, which is often the first thing to be cut whenever there is a Medicaid cut. These services are considered optional, even though for somebody with a disability, something like getting a job might be dependent on that service. So to recap, a lot of people in that video did in fact have jobs, but they needed a Medicaid-funded program in order to get that job.
You know what, President Trump? This is for you, man. Look, I know you've got a lot on your plate. I know you have a lot to do and a lot to keep this country safe, and I appreciate that. But you made us a campaign promise. And I remember you said it at every stop. I'm going to fix the economy and get prices more affordable. You ain't done none of that. Not even a little bit. Stores are price gouging us on tariffs. Stuff that they're putting on tariffs on. And guess what? They're made here in America. You call it like your agencies call it out, but nothing gets done. The stores aren't made to put the prices back. They're not made to fix anything. No, instead, what are they doing? Still charge us the same prices. In fact, they're raising prices even higher. And your administration is doing nothing to help that. Nothing. Not a thing. You have done absolutely nothing to help that. And I'm sorry, but like, we're struggling. Like, you're erasing the middle class. You know, you said, oh, the left, they're all about erasing the middle class. No, you are too, because you're doing the same exact thing. You're not doing anything to help us. I know you got a lot on your plate, but man, just take a day or 2 days and do something to turn around the economy in this country. People are struggling. People are losing their homes because they can't afford. They have to choose between making a car payment or putting food on their table. People are having to choose between paying their credit cards down or putting food on the table. Or they're having to max out their credit cards to pay bills because everything is so daggum expensive. Gas should be going down. We're drilling in America. Why is gas still over $2.89 a gallon? Why is things so damn expensive under you this time, but last time is so much cheaper? I know the Biden administration screwed up the economy and made inflation just skyrocket. But there are things that you can do to fix it, and you need to do it.
Good morning, everybody. Doug White here. This is an open invitation to President Biden, the DNC, and the DCCC to come visit us in rural America, more specifically Yakima, and I will buy the beer. Because while you are trying to spin stories about why it is that African Americans, Latinx, union workers, and younger voters are leaving the Democratic Party, and you're trying to spin these horror stories of what it would be like if MAGA was in control, well, we're living it here. This is what it's like. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you why African American voters are leaving you. Latinx voters are meeting you. In fact, I will introduce you to those people who will tell you themselves, and union workers and younger voters. And it's a very simple formula. It isn't rocket science, but I guess if you hold up in densely blue urban areas, basically drowning in too much cash, and you don't pay attention to us in rural areas, it's really difficult to understand. Because you really are out of touch, basically. Here, let me give you just a little bit of an example of what it's like to live under MAGA rule. Our city council here in Yakima was recently taken over by far-right Republicans. They were voted into office unscrupulously, of course. There's one person who heads up the city council and basically the Republican Party here in Yakima County. And he launched he was able to launch a nationwide attack on our mayor just to make sure that she knew her place, to intimidate her into submission. It didn't work, of course, but it was a nationwide attack, and he was able to launch that. In addition, he's a pastor of a church, and he's using that church to do things like ballot harvesting and so forth, which, if there was any way to destroy the integrity of an election, it's ballot harvesting in a church. And just last night during the city council meeting, they decided to suspend the rules so they could immediately fire some of our appointed officials that run our city in a fair and reasonable way, because they don't like fair and reasonable. And they don't like some of the things that are going on. So they immediately changed it because they now have the capability to suspend the rules. Those rules don't apply to them, apparently. But what's even worse is the fact that they are now deciding that the best way to handle homelessness is to surrender all of it over to religious-based organizations. I will be the first to say that I am very grateful for religious-based organizations for doing so much good for so long in our community, and I hope they continue to do so. That's not the point. The point is, when you say, as a government body, that you are going to now appoint religious organizations as an arm of the government in which to be able to then channel local, state, and federal dollars to help homelessness to the exclusion of all others. What is that? What are you actually doing there? You know? I mean, think about it. One of the organizations that will be supported by this is the Union Gospel Mission, which has an all-out rant and rage against the LGBTQ community. In fact, they've taken it up with the Washington State Supreme Court several times, trying to get an exclusion, saying that they could refuse to hire or possibly even assist in any way LGBTQ people. And that's going to carry on into their work. And now it's going to be the main mechanism for the local government to handle homelessness for everybody but LGBTQ. That's just one little thing. Man, the list could go on. I mean, we could be buying you beers all night long and I'd never run out of stories. So quit spinning your stories, come listen to ours. Because this is what life is like, really. You take care. Bye-bye.
So, Nebraska can't catch a break, right? So, it was reported earlier this year that it was quite possible that the state could go bankrupt, right? Because of the tariffs and the farmers not being able to sell their goods. Well, now it's being reported since the passage of that big bad bill that they're about to start closing rural hospitals. In one particular county, in Webster County in Nebraska, they are closing several rural hospitals, and it's going to impact about 3,000 people. But the saddest part of that is it's not only just the rural hospital, it's also the rural nursing home that's tied to those hospitals. So Mima and Pawpaw ain't gonna have nowhere to live. And again, this is another county that voted overwhelmingly for syphilitic Sid. They anticipate that with the closure, they're not going to have hospitals. Nurses and doctors are already starting to quit so that they can go and find other work. So they're operating under a shortage while having to find places to put these people, in particular, the elderly that are in these nursing homes. Because a lot of folks don't realize it's a federal mandate. If I'm not mistaken, please feel free to correct me in the comments, but I believe most nursing homes have to have a certain number of beds to accommodate Medicaid patients. Because all of that is eligibility based on income. So therefore, if you are one of those low wage or low earners and didn't, make a lot of money and you didn't pay a lot into Social Security, you may have Medicare, but Medicare doesn't pay for nursing homes. At least not that I know of. If I'm wrong, I'm open to the correction. But I just, it's like we're literally only 6 months in, and it's been one breaking news alert after another since the Sid took office. We've not had one day where there hasn't been some form of breaking news that hasn't been bad news. So I get it. All MAGA, all y'all heard was he was going to deport people and he was going to build alligator Alcatraz, and y'all thought y'all was going to buy tickets and eat popcorn to watch immigrants fight off alligators, fight each other. I don't know. Meanwhile, who about to go get me, Mom and Papa when they don't have any place to live? Just something to think about.
A county that overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump is about to lose its largest employer directly because of Donald Trump's policies. Now, this is Greene County, Tennessee, which is home of Artisan and who is the only supplier of penny blanks to the U.S. Mint. And because of Donald Trump's policy to eliminate the penny, they are on the verge of going out of business, which means everybody there will lose their job. Now, there's a trickle-down effect because the people that work there make the money to keep the other businesses in the county in operation. Now, they're begging Donald Trump, please, to reconsider this decision to eliminate the penny, but Donald Trump isn't listening. And once again, we find people that supported Donald Trump that are feeling the effects of his policies, that are starting to feel the hurt, and I could not be happier for them. This is what they deserve. We're all going to be in the find out phase, but it does put a little bit of a smile on my face that the people who were warned,
These rural Americans in this clip voted for Donald Trump, and now they cannot afford to eat. He promised he was going to make these people's lives better and fix all of the problems they are facing. However, he has done the exact opposite. Everything has gotten worse.
How big of a problem hunger is in rural America? Spend time at a mobile food bank.
It's 90% of what I consume. And I don't keep the car running. I can't afford the gas, so I have sleeping bags to stay warm.
I still feel bad that I have to come up here and sit on a line, to get food. It's embarrassing as hell.
While Americans are struggling to afford gas, food, and rent, Trump has found time to do just about everything else except for his job, including giving $40 billion to Argentina. He's also found the time to demand $230 million in taxpayer money for himself. And of course, he's got plenty of time to destroy the entire east wing of the White House and replace it with a ballroom that's modeled after one of Putin's palaces. But he can't find the time or compassion to reopen the government or extend ACA tax credits that many of his rural supporters rely on to survive. This is what happens when leadership becomes a vanity project. Trump isn't governing, he is indulging himself. He's treating the presidency like a personal empire with luxury renovations and giving foreign strongmen billions of dollars. Meanwhile, his very own supporters are standing in food lines saying they can't afford gas or groceries. It's not like he doesn't have the time or resources to fix this stuff, it's that he simply doesn't want to or care.
Okay, y'all, it seems my content is getting in front of the right people's eyes. At least they're starting to message me about it now. For the last few months, it's really just been the left in my DMs giving me encouragement and support. Some people on the right that are obviously not regretting their vote. But I got a message earlier this week that made me cry. It made me realize what I'm doing is actually making a difference. Because a lot of times these people, when they're in high control groups, your curiosity, the questions you're starting to have, the critical thinking that is screaming at you to be exercised, you ask those questions to the wrong people and they'll just gaslight you back into oblivion. Gaslight you back into what's comfortable, gaslight into you not understanding things. And so, again, I'm so glad that I decided to just put this out here because I knew that people were feeling alone because I felt alone. So this is the message. Hey, you may not know me, but I appreciate your content. I'm 24 years old and a former Trump campaign coordinator, first job out of college, who is starting to regret his work and his vote. I started walking away in mid-2025. I'm still conservative, but I don't have it in my heart to continue to support Trump. Thank you so much for your content. It's relieved to know I'm not alone. And again, that's exactly why I'm sharing this content. And I made sure that this guy was legit. He has young Republicans in his bio. He's also a person of color. And I'm telling you, people are waking up. The collective is waking up. And things are happening. It might not happen overnight, but I want to give you some hope that today in church, this was the sermon. It was about Isaiah. And if you don't know about Isaiah, he's a prophet, and Jesus quoted him the most out of any other prophets in the Bible. And Isaiah's from Judah, and Assyria was wanting to overtake Judah, and the leaders in Judah wanted to rely on Egypt and Cush for protection from Assyria. And Isaiah stripped himself down and walked around naked for 3 years. 3 years. In defiance of Judah taking this support from another nation, because they knew what it meant to be dependent upon these nations and empires. And he was like, no, this is not the right thing for us to do. It took 3 years. And granted, it wasn't an act of indecency back then. It was an act of like true defiance and like really painting a picture and sending a message. It was embarrassing. But he also knew that not having other nations come and involve is the best thing for Judah. And it worked. It worked. And so this is my hope for y'all, that we have 3 years to really turn things around. 3 years from now can be a completely different world we're living in. It starts in November this year. It starts at midterms. But I want to give y'all hope that things can turn around and be a completely different place that we're living in. Have hope. If that's all that you can do today, have hope, because that alone will help more than you actually realize. So thank y'all for all your support. I really couldn't do this without y'all. And it's been a wild journey, but I'm appreciative of it. And again, this is proof people are waking up.
Okay, I know I've been on here a lot today, but I'm still processing what happened last night at the rally with Bernie. Talked to my MAGA mom today. She asked how it went. I said, great, right up until we bombed Iran. She said, we didn't bomb Iran. We bombed their nuclear facilities. I said, Mom, they don't have any nuclear facilities. Said, Trump's director of national intelligence said they don't have any. She then told me that woman, or that man, was a liar. Tulsi Gabbard, that guy was a liar. She said the reason he didn't tell them ahead of time was because there were so many Palestinians in Congress that they would have let Iran know that we were going to bomb them, so he couldn't tell them ahead of time. She also accused AOC of being a Palestinian. She said the people in Gaza deserved what they got because Israel is God's chosen people. This is the fucking bullshit that I have to listen to from my brain-damaged MAGA mom. It's so fucked up. It's so brainwashed. She told me I needed to read my Bible because Israel was God's chosen people. Guys, I can't. I cannot handle this.
So for many white Americans, white communities across America, the sense of disillusionment comes from the gap between political expectation and everyday realities. Many voters who supported Mr. Donald Trump, they supported Mr. Donald Trump because they believed his promises will revive manufacturing, create stable jobs, lower living costs, strengthen local economies, and restore a sense of pride to communities that had experienced decades of economic decline. When families continue to struggle with high prices, limited employment opportunities, or population loss, some residents feel that the dramatic political promises have not translated into meaningful improvements in their daily lives. So, while experiences might vary from, one community to another, this gap between expectations and outcomes has become an important topic in discussion about what is happening in rural America, rural white states in America. Now, one factor contributing to the disillusionment is the continuing economic hardship facing many small towns. Let me explain. Numerous rural communities have seen factories close, hospitals struggle to remain open, and younger generations move to larger cities in search of better opportunities. Many residents hope that new industries and manufacturing jobs will return on large scale. Although some areas have benefited from investment, many communities continue to face long-term structural economic challenges. For those who expected rapid economic renewal, the persistence of these problems has led to disappointment and questions about whether political leaders can deliver the changes they promised. Right. Also, another source of frustration involves the rising cost of living. This one cuts across. Many rural households spend a significant portion in their income on groceries, fuel, healthcare, housing, and utilities. Even where unemployment remains relatively low, families may still feel financially stretched if wages do not keep up with pace with the expenses. So voters who expected policies to quickly reduce these financial pressures may become discouraged when they continue to face difficult household budgets. And as a result, some communities express growing skepticism about whether campaign promises alone can solve deeply rooted economic issues. Another frustration also comes from healthcare. Healthcare has also become so persistent and consistent when we talk about all these problems that are facing the United States. Now, healthcare has remained a major concern in many rural regions. Small hospitals and clinics have faced financial pressures, and some communities have experienced reduction in available medical services. Residents often travel long distance to receive specialized care, placing additional burdens on elderly people and low-income families. For voters who expected substantial improvements in healthcare, access, and affordability, these ongoing challenges can reinforce feelings that their communities have been overlooked despite repeated political attention. Also, immigration and border security are central issues during Trump's campaign, and many rural voters viewed them as priorities. However, for some communities, everyday concerns such as job availability, affordable housing, infrastructure, healthcare, and education have remained more immediate challenges. So when these local issues persist, some residents conclude that national political debates have not addressed the practical problems affecting their own towns. These can contribute to a broader sense of dissatisfaction. This is what we are seeing. A lot of people are dissatisfied with what is really going on with the government, regardless of the party affiliation. So, political scientists also note that the disillusionment can emerge from expectations which are so high. Campaigns often present ambitious visions of rapid change, but government involves legal, economic, and institutional constraints that make sweeping transformations difficult. And as a result, supporters who anticipated a quick and dramatic improvements may become, so much frustrated when progress becomes slower, or even more limited, or even uneven than they expected. This dynamic is not unique to one administration, but it has appeared across different periods in American politics. Right? It has appeared so many times. So, brothers and sisters, please let me know what you'll think about this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Judak Stories. But until then, I'm hoping to see you on my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.